Hey everybody, I'm the Girl Otaku, and referring to the title that made you click on this video, well, it's a lot. So I honestly kept forgetting that we would be getting the rest of Tokyo Ghoul in 2018, but each time I was reminded, I was still really excited about it. Then I watched it and I was like, what did I just watch? Today we're just going to go over the marks that were missed with this episode, but before we get into that, let's recap just a little bit. The first 12 episodes of covered 58 manga chapters, and episode 13 contained content from chapters 59 through 68, so there was about 10 chapters of material covered in this episode alone. Now, there was a lot going on, and the first time I watched this episode, my head was spinning, and it was just really hard to follow, and that is coming from somebody who knows the source material. After rereading these chapters and watching the episode a second time, it was a lot easier for me to follow, so I'm here to help sort things out for you. Meet Black Reaper Kaneki. This is what you will probably hear him referred to as for the next few weeks. Even if you're an anime only, I'm sure you noticed that Kaneki looks like he absolutely hates his life in this episode. Low-key, do you blame him though? Anyway, I tried finding a piece of information in the anime that's pretty damn important, but I couldn't find it, so anime onlys. The Quink squad is no longer mentored by Heisei or Kaneki. In case you were wondering why the Qs weren't around, that's why. Also, Kaneki was promoted. He's now an associate special class investigator. Not that it really matters now, but just so you know. The next issue is that they really didn't do a great job of setting up the timeline at all in this episode. It's actually like they didn't even try, and that's a huge problem. For starters, everyone needs to know that 6 months have passed since the Rose Suppression arc or the end of episode 12, so there was a time skip in the manga, but they don't even mention it in the anime. The second thing that everyone needs to know is that the Rushima landing operation, which is this right here, occurs around the same time as this Cochlea raid, so almost all of the best investigators are away from Cochlea while this is going on. That slipped my mind the first time I watched this episode because there's literally nothing to show that these events are going on around the same time, and the beginning made me think that they were just showing a flashback. I don't even know if I want to count the dragon as a problem here, simply because the way things are looking, they're going to finish Tokyo Ghoul in these last 12 episodes. There's realistically no good way to wrap up the story at this point, as there is just too much material to cover. We've been saying that since the first season, of course, but the last half of Tokyo Ghoul is extremely plot heavy, so it's obvious they're going to have to scrap a lot of it. That being said, I don't like that they included the dragon at the beginning of this episode. The foreshadowing just didn't seem necessary in my opinion, but it's whatever, I guess. Now, there is one thing that I will forever and always rant about on my channel, something that is very important to me in every story that I read and every anime that I watch. Do you know what that is? Character development. One of, if not the most important thing in a story to me is how well the characters are developed. The Rushima landing arc is so important. This arc, for one character in particular, is kind of the turning point in their development, so I really hope to see it in the next episode, because if not, that is unforgivable in my opinion. They mention an operation to end Aogiri in the beginning of this episode, which is essentially the Rushima landing operation, but please keep in mind that there are 2 invasions to end Aogiri, so there are 2 parts to the Rushima landing operation. And we get to see some short clips here and there of some really cool fights that we will most likely never ever get to see, which is odd because Studio Pierrot has shown us that they like Tokyo Ghoul as a battle shonen, so this definitely surprised me a little bit. Second big issue in this episode, what the hell is this? I was spoiled as to who was under the cloak before the anime even started, but had I not been spoiled, I probably would not have figured out who this was because I'm just a little dense sometimes, but that's irrelevant now. I just can't believe that they did y'all anime onlys dirty like that. I mean, Amon looking fresh AF, but still, Amon's reveal could have been done so much better instead of, you know, within the first minute of the episode with no emphasis whatsoever. Now, I'm not sure if I should count this as a spoiler. Mutsuki was captured by Torso on the first trip to Rushima. The second trip to Rushima was to finish off the rest of Aogiri, still on the island, and to rescue Mutsuki. So they did skip a conversation between Urie and Kaneki that I feel was important in terms of character development, especially for Urie, and it makes you wonder what exactly Kaneki's thought process is at this point in time. Next we have Tous Big Reveal. A large portion of this episode was centered around her, and we get to see a little more of her backstory and how she becomes an author. Now, in the episode, Kaneki had just left HQ and was on his way home when he happened to see the press conference where Eto reveals that she is a ghoul. Now, in the manga at this point, the CCG had already taken Eto into custody. In fact, Kaneki escorted her to that press conference. I guess that change per se doesn't bother me. I just found it odd that Kaneki was able to find out where that conference was taking place and arrive there to take Eto into custody before it was even over. Now, there was some talk about Rize in this episode that may seem out of place, and that's because it is. Things were skipped over in Ru A and the first half of Ri that had to do with Rize's character, and this just proves why you can't skip over important narrative elements and then try to incorporate them later. It just doesn't make any sense. They also missed a finger crack that should have been in this episode, and I know it might seem a little silly to care about something so trivial, but the finger crack is an intrinsic part of Tokyo Ghoul. Same with the chin touch. If I know it's supposed to be there and it's not, like, I'm going to be salty about it 100%. Those are the biggest misdeeds found in episode 13. As a manga reader, you know, someone who has done their time, I had a hard time keeping up with this episode. What I'm not going to do is sit here and tell you that you should read the manga, because obviously if you want to, you will, and if that's the case, then that's great because it's an amazing story. But on the other hand, if you'd rather not read the source material, that's cool too. I'll just keep making these videos so anime onlys know what's going on. Check out your girl's other Tokyo Ghoul videos found on the screen because she's always out here trying to make new weeb friends, and the link to my Twitter is in the description below if you want a glimpse into my messy anime thought-filled brain. Until next time, I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next video.